What inspired me to get into cooking from fishing is that I really like to eat. I like to feed the beast. And that's the bottom line. My dad told me a long time ago that if you want to eat like you eat, you better learn how to cook. My name is Captain Jamie Hough. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I am a professional fisherman. Some people call me chef, more of a home cook, I guess, depending on where the home is. Also a philanthropist, I guess man of many hats and master of none. Many moons ago, back in my college days, I did not want to wait tables or work at Bubba Sly's sandwich shop any longer. And I had just taken a trip to the Florida Keys for spring break and decided that I wanted to be a charter boat captain. So therein lies the problem, the itch that you can never scratch. I've been a fisherman ever since. Basically, you know, no matter what career path I choose, I'm always going to fall back on the fishing. I can't get out of it. I did real estate for 15 years, can never stop being a charter captain. It's just one of those things that once it's in your blood, you're not going to get rid of it. Kind of like being a hunting guide. Most of us wind up dying on the boat with a push pole in our hands, which is a great way to go, if you ask me. 2001, I started tournament fishing locally. 2009, I started traveling for tournaments, and it took a few years, but 2014, I won the first ever Elite Series event in Biloxi, Mississippi. And in 2015, I won the IFA National Championships. You know, other than that, you know, I travel as much as I can for tournaments, but mostly just fish charters here in Charleston. We have big trout in the spring and big trout in the winter, and then giant redfish all summer long. That's my specialty. Hence the name Redfish Mafia. You can get in, but you can't get out. You know, there's some big gaps in my cooking career. I guess it started just like everybody else is with a condiment sandwich at some point around 5 or 6 years old. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise because you didn't know what else to cook on a piece of bread, or mayonnaise sandwich with potato chips. And then you fast forward to, I was probably 8 or 9, and my dad had some restaurants and bars in Nashville, and he taught me how to make fried shrimp. And then, you know, it kind of fast forwards from there to my grandmother, home cooking, soul food type stuff. I'm about to show you how to make the best and easiest daggone cornbread you ever had in your life, all on a Traeger. And then, you know, in college, I was always the guy in the house that liked to cook. Most of the time grilling out, you know, the quintessential things that guys do when they're in college. You don't make purees and stuff when you're in college. So we started having people over. We love to entertain, and so we started having people over in our house that we bought about 15 years ago. I got introduced to somebody one night as a guy who likes to cook, and that led to an email with an application for MasterChef that I filled out after a few libations about 1 in the morning and completely forgot that I filled it out. About a month later, I started getting phone calls, and then finally I answered it one day, and it was this fella that I really wound up becoming good friends with, one of the producers of MasterChef. And he was like, why haven't you been answering your phone? We need you downtown tomorrow at 10 a.m. to try out for MasterChef. And so I got done with a charter and threw the Traeger in the back of the truck and went downtown and cooked shrimp and grits in the parking lot. Lo and behold, out of 1,200 people, I think 300 of them made shrimp and grits. But I guess my shrimp and grits are pretty good, so I got my spot on the show. I think, you know, a little more than 20,000 people tried out, and I made it all the way to number 9. So this big rig behind me, I call it Black Betty. But I have a good friend that owns a barbecue joint called Swig and Swine, and he approached me last January, 2 Januaries ago, and he said, man, I see you going and cooking for people after hurricanes and storms. I have a nonprofit, and it's called southeastrelief.org, and we rescue people with airboats and whatnot during storms, and we feed them afterwards. We try to make sure that, you know, they just lost everything that they had, and we want to make sure that they get a good hot meal, and it's kind of like, you know, that first instance of hope, and it lets them know that there's people looking out for them. And that's my goal, is to just feed these folks when they're at probably the lowest point in their lives. Fast forward from Hurricane Harvey, which is where we kind of started, to Hurricane Dorian. Obviously we can't go rescue people in the Bahamas during a hurricane, and we can't take this cooker to the Bahamas after the hurricane to feed people. So I went down there and pretty much took over food service for the island of Elbow Cay, which is where Hopetown is. So we were able to cook with the help of everybody at Firefly Resort and Farrell and the Mackey sisters. We were able to cook 165,000 meals in just over 12 and a half weeks. So, you know, living the ultimate lifestyle is all about taking advantage of your opportunities. And it's way easier to do that when you have the right tools. And thanks to Bubba, I have the right tools to continue doing that. You know, one thing I always say is that you never know what's coming, and that's the beautiful thing about life is you can make it whatever you want to be. You know, and again, taking advantage of opportunities is how you're going to make it what you want of it. And using the right gear and having the right gear available is 90% of it. You're only as good as your tools, period.